And I think the trend, which again cuts across the conferences I've been to recently, is around commercialisation, not just for economic benefit, but for social good. We've seen this particularly in the rise of what we call shape commercialisation of the social sciences, arts and humanities. And I think that's been reflected here at UIIN as well, with a rising interest in the importance of things like the UN Sustainable Development Goals when talking about the impact of higher education and research. Arno, I don't know if that chimes with what you've seen and what your thoughts are.
Definitely. I'd like to maybe pick up on that last what you just mentioned in terms of the social impact that universities can have and moving away from commercialization. And I really like the word that's being used by some universities in the Netherlands around valorization, which is more about creating value from research, more so than just commercial value. It's also about social value. And we really see that this resonates really well with academics because the core reason, or one of the core reasons at least, to go into academia is to make that contribution, to have that more social impact. It's not about creating the next big startup that scales up and turns into some unicorn. It's about making a positive contribution to our society. So I think definitely that one. And in terms of the ecosystems, yes, we heard this morning from Andrew Petter talking about the Engaged University and what his work at Simon Fraser University out in Canada. And then, of course, the contributions from Pascal Quester from Swinburne University out in Australia, talking about the moonshots and the role that Swinburne University plays within the innovation precinct, a word often used out in Australia. Melbourne, the University of Melbourne does something similar with Melbourne Connect. I think all of those are great initiatives. It's really recognizing the fact that universities are anchor institutions within a larger ecosystem, and maybe not always looking at it from a university perspective. But looking at what is the role of the university within that ecosystem, and how do we better engage and connect with our local stakeholders? I think it's really important as well to retain talent in the region. If we are better connected to local SMEs, we are able to retain the students that graduate from our universities. And then something that came up in our Future of Universities workshops is around smart specialization. And looking at what are their core capabilities, and what are the challenges and the needs of our region, and making sure that those are aligned and that the university is catering to those. I mentioned SMEs, but of course the same applies to social organizations, to the government itself, or any other challenges that are shared within the region.
That's really interesting observations, and it chimes with a lot of what's going on in the UK in terms of the levelling up agenda, and that broader social impact piece really appealing to some academic staff who are not motivated perhaps by the economic side. But what I found particularly great about UIIN is those international perspectives. So like you said, we have representatives from Australia, from Canada. I spoke with some people from Africa, South Africa. So it's absolutely brilliant there's that forum for the international knowledge exchange valorization community to get together and discuss these ideas.
And I'm happy we finally can do it again. Getting back together here in Amsterdam. We have over 400 delegates here across these 3 days from 60 different countries. And one of the interesting bits there is we all share the same challenges, but we apply different solutions. I think that's the core bit in terms of going to a conference like this, is learning from each other, exchanging information, just sharing those best practices. I think that's one of the core elements. And just to pick up on what you said in terms of the moving away from commercialization more to this value aspect as well, I think for a very long time we focused on technology transfer, and we talked about how can we commercialize our research, and I'm happy that we're changing that conversation, because in order to achieve real institutional change in higher education and change that culture to be maybe more open and have universities without walls, if you'd like, metaphorically speaking, then we need to make sure that we're all on board and are all using language that's inclusive and that resonates with all stakeholders, academic students, leadership practitioners, and those outside of our higher education institutions.
Wonderful.